And then there's my high tech.
Thank you.
What?
How do I?
You'll still be using the mic.
Yeah.
What?
Just for the I see.
Okay, hold on. Reconnect.
Whew. We're gonna do great.
Hi. Technical difficulties. Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4.
Well, this is my first time here physically. Yeah, I guess so. Yeah, I agree. Here. Hi.
You look very ready for a business meeting.
Oh, thank you. I'm excited for my business presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, are you on that?
Yeah.
Are you?
Both of us.
Ah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I'm kidding.
Okay. Good morning.
Daniel.
We'll kick it off. It is 9:22. So starting off a little late this morning. It's a thinner crowd today. Who has a theory of why it's a little thinner today? Is it back to school? Is it the CPS? All right. Just a little curious, but we've got hello. Yay. Buses are rerouting. I understood 5 people almost had an accident. That was part of the commute as well. That's scary. Not 1MC audience members. But thank you for coming. Whose first time is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, well, welcome. Yay! I'll tell you a little bit about 1 Million Cops. It's founded out of the Kauffman Foundation. That's a philanthropic organization out of Kansas City that around 2012 thought, you know what, it would be a great thing if we got 1 million people together having coffee and exchanging ideas and educating and inspiring and connecting with one another. And so they just started hosting these events. And over a decade and a half later, they have over 100 of these community organizations nationwide. They get together just about every Wednesday and they put on an event for 2 people to come and present. They have about 5 or 6 minutes. Hold on 1 second. Do I have my? Yeah. They have 6 minutes to present, and then at the end of it, we say, what can we as a community do for you? So everybody hears me say that every week, but it's pretty inspiring because everybody in this audience has had some entrepreneurial experience some point in their careers, if they're not currently grinding it out, building a company. And so when somebody says, I'm stuck here, can anybody help me get unstuck? There are usually some really good ideas that are thrown out by audience members. And that's, oh man, that looks precarious. And that's what we do here. So we're going to call up our first presenter. They'll give you a story, what they're working on, what inspires them about it, where they might be stuck or could use some suggestions. And then we'll figure out if we can help. We'll call up the next presenter. We'll have some coffee. We'll exchange ideas. We'll get together and we'll come back next week and do it all over again. If you haven't already registered, we kind of attacked you at the door, but it's just so important. It's a nonprofit organization and they use their registration counts as part of their applications for grant funding. So if you can please scan the QR code, let us know you came here. Nobody's going to try to, for today, every week, do it again and again and again. And so that they can say, look at us, we're powerful, give us money. And we can keep doing this. So thank you for registering. I will call up, so it is going to be Daniel. Okay, I'm going to call up Daniel. Could we give Daniel a standing ovation?
Wow. Wow. Thank you. Thank you all.
I will, give me 1 second.
Okay, we're good, yeah.
All right, go back here, escape there. Go back to this one.
Almost there. There we go.
And
Perfect.
then down, we'll advance the slides if it works.
Yeah. Okay.
You get a mic for
Test that?
a mic for the audience here, and you got this one for the video.
Awesome. Hi, everybody. Wow, what an introduction. Thank you, Stu. So I will be talking a little bit in general about finance today. So I know not an ideal to start your morning, but brace yourselves, right? So hi, as he introduced me, I am Daniel, and today I'll be telling you about Phamatica, where we're building what we're calling the world's first CFM. Now, you may hear that and say, okay, well, I've heard of a CRM, such as Salesforce, HubSpot. I've heard of that, and you're kind of on the right track, right? A CFM, that stands for Client Financial Manager. It's basically a tool for corporate lenders to kind of maintain good records of their clients' financial performance and to, most importantly, track their risk. But before we get into that, bit of background about me, there I am, there. I know I'm very professional looking. So after studying finance and data analytics at IU Kelly, I spent my entire career as a credit analyst where I ran into some very surprisingly outdated processes, right? A little bit of a story here. So in every job I've actually had for the first 3 to 6 months, My entire responsibility has actually been manually entering financial statements into Excel to get a rating, which I know it's crazy that even at like big banks, I won't name names, but at some pretty decent big sized banks, that's a big thing still. Now, yeah. Oh, I wouldn't know, but yeah, probably. But fortunately, at my last role, I was able to do something about this. I was able to develop a set of tools to kind of help speed this process along. And I found this to be super rewarding. It was great. I was saving everybody time. I was saving the company money. It was great. But unfortunately, I couldn't resolve all those major pain points, which is what kind of led me to start Informatica and led me over here today, right? So a little about the industry. Why is it so important to track the risk of our clients if we're lending, right? Well, you know, financing, it's not like a regular service, right? We can't just turn it off if a client decides to stop paying us, right? But fortunately, you know, we can do something about that inherent risk, right? Namely, we can adjust what rates we charge them. We can ask for deposits, letter of credit, guarantees, all things like that. But you know, you may have noticed every company's financial situation, it's dynamic. It's always changing. It's not static. And, you know, if we're really going to be keeping up with these mitigants, we need to constantly be reviewing them. And if this isn't possible, we get something I like to call a snapshot effect. Now, here that is kind of demonstrated. Now here the white line kind of represents probability of default, whereas the red line represents kind of how risky we think the client is, right? So commonly what will happen is we'll review a client right when they're onboarded, and you know, if they don't ask for any additional financing and we've got constant requests for new financing, they'll kind of fall by the wayside here. And if their risk climbs pretty steeply, you know, and they declare bankruptcy, we end up losing a good amount of money here, which is what happened in this example on the left. Now you may look at that and think, okay, well, why don't we just overcompensate for our risk? You know, why don't we just overplan? Well, that could work, right? You would be avoiding a lot of losses, but this is also bad because this is bad terms for the client. The client is now unhappy. They're more likely to leave us. And if word gets out that we're charging bad rates, well, I got good news for you. We won't be having any bankruptcy losses because we won't have any clients left, right? So at Informatica, this is exactly the problem that we're trying to solve, right? We're trying to get this white line as close to that red line as we possibly can. And we do this through a CFM, which basically think of this as a real-time database for that financial risk, right? So by automating certain components of that financial analysis, we're able to reassess that risk as soon as that new information becomes available. How exactly do we do that? Well, first, you know, we source that financial data, not just once. This is the key thing. We come up with a way to source it over and over again as soon as that new information becomes available. Now, once we've done that, we kind of plug it into a proprietary tool that sort of makes that financial data consistent, you know, because all financial data is sort of all over the place nowadays, but makes it consistent so that we can extract some key ratios, key metrics, and of course compare that against external industry trends to find that final risk rating, which we can then distribute to the rest of the company wherever it's needed. Now, the critical thing here and what differentiates us so much is that once this is set up, this is done fully automatically, right? I don't believe there's anything out there right now that's doing that. Now, of course, the caveat is, you know, if a big change in risk is detected, you know, it's going to be flagged for human review so we can figure out exactly what's going on. But for the most part, you can see how, you know, you're never going to get a situation like this, right? We're always going to be notified once this big spike happens, and it's going to end up saving a lot of money for these lenders, right?
Is the y-axis on that risk?
It's the true risk is kind of, yeah, it's like the probability of default is like, let's say 6%. Yeah, good question. The question's for the end though. So that's what we're trying to build, but where are we today and where do we kind of go from here? Well, you know, we're currently building our very first MVP, and we're now entering what I'm calling kind of the customer discovery phase, where we're sort of tailoring the product to those real world users and trying to really find those pain points, figure out what they are, adapt the product, adjust, you know, and through doing all this, we hope to turn these early advisors into eventually our first clients when we do launch. So I guess that brings me to my ask for the 1MC community today. First of all, open-ended question, you know, where do you think we should go from here? Obviously, I'm very passionate about this business. I believe in it. I'm relatively new as well, so I'd like, you know, advice on how to grow it. So, you know, open-ended question. How do you think we should grow it from here? And of course, you know, always looking for connections in that space, always looking for those potential first clients. So if you know anybody that understands these pain points, that knows what they are, you know, that could be credit directors, technical leaders in banks or other lending institutions, you know, please feel free to connect with me, connect me with them. You can see my LinkedIn here. You can feel free to check out my website. Thank you all very much for coming this morning. And I'll now open the floor for questions.
Awesome. Before we kick it off, tell us what you're doing to connect with this audience and how it's going so far. Tell us a little bit about your network and your efforts.
Should I still use the mic?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I've got a few connections in the industry right now, basically reaching out to friends, friends of friends, everybody that I can basically think of. I've gotten a few connections, I've gotten a few conversations started, but my network is still relatively limited because, I've been working basically in one industry my whole life, and I'm relatively young. I don't know if you can tell.
Yeah, I like the line, my whole career has been.
Yeah, that's
We're like, how long has that been?
I didn't want to put a number on it.
All right. Well, even if you don't know these people, I guess how, let's have a dialogue around how we figure out how to get introduced to these people. Go ahead, Richard.
Well, two questions. One, it says contact info.
Oh, yes. Sorry, yeah. There we go. Yeah, feel free to scan. My LinkedIn's there. Oh. Okay. I can hook you up. Yeah. Talk to me after the presentation.
My question. So I think one of the things that I thought was cool is like just being able to automate the financial, all that stuff. Even today, Excel is still like 80% of most finance jobs. But one of the I'm kind of building a tool in the valuation space, and I kind of came up to a similar issue where it's like I've been in one industry for so long, and one of the things that I think that's helped me is like reaching out to past clients, people I've worked with, and I kind of have like a survey question that I ask, like, hey, these are the tools that I'm used in the past, and use these tools just to kind of create like a comparison between my product and like the tools that you're using, and maybe that could be something just to help you kind of gauge like where the biggest pain points are for potential clients.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd be super open to that. Super open to that conversation. That's a great connection. There's a lot of things that this is kind of parallel to. I know that someone in the audience, I can't quite see him, but yeah, there's Arliss. I got introduced to Arliss for this exact same reason, right? He was also having this pain point of like, trying to evaluate the risk of businesses, and this is like a common thing throughout the industry. So, open to network, open to talk, anytime. Yes.
Is this sort of risk assessment also applicable to like financial advisors assessing the risk of their clients' portfolios, or not? That's like a totally different business.
I suppose you could use it that way. Yeah, I suppose. The major kind of feature here is kind of the mitigation of risk. Like if you're actually lending to them, which is kind of like the second part of that. But like if you're investing, yeah, like this could totally work for like an investor or anything like that, any kind of financial advisor, to keep track of, stock analysis. It's a little bit different. It's not my area of expertise. But I would imagine you can 100% use it for that. Yes, sir. This is a good point. Well, in my experience in corporate lending, there is usually a covenant to provide at least financial statements, at least like physical or PDF financial statements at a bare minimum, as often as we ask for them. Usually this is pretty standard with banks. Now to get more detailed than that, that is like if you wanted to, let's say, have a truly live analysis of that portfolio and what's going on, that's not just quarterly, that would be a more valid concern. That would be kind of a specialized contract that I suspect would be signed specifically as a risk mitigant for riskier clients, So you probably wouldn't need that for like a more stable company. You could probably just get away with looking at them quarterly. But if they really want to finance with you and they're not looking good, that would be a good thing to ask for, I suppose.
Who here has done qualitative customer discovery? How'd you guys get in front of the people you wanted to talk to? Connor?
Just gotta go where they're at, meet them where they're at. So sometimes it's just park. I was working with a person that was starting a dog park out in Iowa City, Iowa, and I went to a dog park and just sat there and talked to people that came to us instead of going to them. Just sat there and we knew they were gonna be.
So you should go to the Excel park.
Oh yeah. Okay. It's a very big park, unfortunately.
Are there risk conferences? Are there, I don't know if it's compliance or regulatory or even ancillary events where the risk people go, even if the conversation isn't wholly about risk and adjusted risk?
I don't think so, because it is like it's really just kind of a forgotten, like it's not really an industry people think much about. You know, they like to think about the flashy, like, oh, tech conference, wow,
Yeah.
let's go to that. No one talks about risk analysis, you know. But
Well,
like,
the
I'm sure
people
it's
in
out
it
there.
do, right?
Yeah, I'm sure it's out there, you know. But the people in it usually are kind of boring. I'm not gonna lie.
You're not here for friends. You're here
Yeah.
for data. You're here for data.
So they wouldn't, like, you know, I don't think they would host a conference. But yeah, I think
Yeah.
I bet there is probably something like that out there. Yes, ma'am.
There could be a possibility
Mhm.
of connecting with banks and hosting small networking events for your niche.
That's a good point. Yeah,
Maybe do free space.
that's actually a great point. That's a great little marketing tactic. Get
Okay, a
customers
couple
in
more,
touch.
Kayla and John, and we'll wrap it up.
Are there like local sort of, I want to say mom and pop like banks in Chicago that are not, that you could like go in and talk to, like literally just show up and be like, hi, I want to talk to like, I don't know, they probably won't be there when you show up, but maybe you can get a meeting if there's like single branch, like local banks or something like that. Just to like ask them questions about like how, what they would need customer service.
There are like smaller banks like that. Usually they don't lend to like big companies. You know, that's because this is mostly for like
Business to business. lending.
business to business lending, right?
Yeah,
Like if you're lending to an individual usually, or even like a sole proprietorship, all you're really looking at is a FICO score and, you know, some Experian metrics. Here we're really looking at like full financial statements, you know. So unfortunately it is mostly big guys that are handling this kind of thing. But you know,
If you can start small, even though like there's not as many things that go into it, so that you are getting, that you at least you have something to show. If you show up to a big bank and you have no customers, they're gonna, like, the bureaucracy, sorry,
Right.
goes back.
yeah, exactly. I mean, they actually do have a little slide just on this point, right? So it is not just banks that we're looking at. Banks, of course, make up the majority of lending here. But there's like private credit, which is a very big emerging field, which are like smaller, sometimes boutique firms that do this lending that don't have as much regulation and things like this. You know, leases are also loans. So, you know, any corporate leases also work. So like, it's really not just for banks, you know, it's for this entire industry of B2B lending.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Guys, thank you. I'll do that and that and your mic.
Okay.
That and then there we go. Awesome. Okay, before we call up Nicola, are there any announcements, any events coming up, or anything you want to share with the audience? Something's a free event for founders, for startups, for small businesses. It's okay. We're in the fall. We're in a transitional period. Oh, okay, Everett, let's go.
If anyone's familiar with JavaScript, the Svelte framework meetup is next Tuesday, the 26th. Anyway,
That's where I've seen you before.
yeah, Jorge, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Awesome.
Svelte, it's better than React for some people.
Okay.
Not as good as vanilla JavaScript, though.
That's awesome. All right, thank you. Anything else? Events coming down the pike? Any tech walks?
No tech walks until September, so I'll announce that at a later date. But tomorrow there is a Microsoft and EY pilot community event at the Microsoft Innovation Center beginning at 8:30. You can find my LinkedIn or come talk to me for the details, but we're discussing some of the latest research from Microsoft on AI. And it's bring your own use case. You might actually get some work done for you while you're participating.
8:30
Awesome.
AM or 8:30 PM?
I mean, 8:30 AM.
Okay.
That's what I thought.
That's awesome. Oh, Mike shut himself off. Testing. Okay. Thank you. We have just a quick shout out to our sponsors. We are here hosted by Workbox. We always appreciate their hospitality. If you'd like to co-work for the day, they always welcome us every Wednesday that we're here. If you decide afterwards and having coffee and meeting some new people and having conversations, rekindling conversations you've started earlier, please feel free to check in at the desk, let them know you're with 1MC and you can co-work for the day. Hopefully you had a cup of coffee and you enjoyed it. That's brought to us by U3. That's our coffee sponsorship. And we really, it's nonprofits, community organizers. We do get a free shirt, which is nice, but we rely so heavily on the community support. So if this is something that you guys want to participate in or support with any type of sponsorship, you can grab any one of us in a shirt and talk about your interests in supporting the organization. In the meantime, could we give a standing ovation for Nicola before she comes up and presents? So this is for the audience. That's for the YouTube streaming.
Okay.
So keep that on, and then you hit down. It's counterintuitive, but down will advance the slides.
Oh, thank you.
Okay. Hey, Domo.
Hello, everybody.
And you got to keep it really close.
Ah, beautiful.
Look like it's just chewing on it. Silly.
Thank you. So I would love to hear from everyone today. What would you guess is the strongest predictor of long-term happiness? Yep.
Relationships.
Beautiful.
Quality of relationships.
Yes, Jorge, relationships, quality of relationships. Any other guesses here in the audience?
Communication.
Communication, beautiful, Stuart. Anything else? Expectation setting, beautiful. So, according to the Harvard study of adult development, which is an over 85-year study, strong, healthy relationships are the #1 predictor of life satisfaction, well-being, and longevity. So this goes to show the importance of creating environments where our relationships thrive, both in the personal realms and in the workplace. So nice to officially meet you. I'm Nicola Navone. I'm a relational communication and leadership coach, a speaker, and also the founder of Divine Union Coaching. And so we work with couples, teams, and individuals to deepen their connections, to communicate more effectively, and to build relationships that thrive. And so we've got the Union method is the method that I work with, and it works in 4 key disciplines. The first one being balance. It's all about how do we balance our active and passive traits, which you can also equate to our masculine and feminine traits. We all have both. And that inner balance creates relational harmony. The second pillar is sovereignty. It's our relationships are fueled best when they're run by choice and empowerment. The third pillar is communication, mastering our communication, verbal, nonverbal, energetic, and understanding principles of polarity. So whether you're leading a team in the workplace or in partnership, it's understanding what creates magnetic attraction. That's what polarity is. So our why. I started my career in corporate sales, training, and leadership, helping organizations deepen their internal and external relationships. And then I brought this to the personal realm, working with couples to improve their communication in ways that bridge connection and resonance. And so our relationships aren't compartmentalized. So how we show up in one area mirrors the other, whether you're at home or in the workplace. Most of the time, you're dealing with disengaged partners, team members, friends, navigating conflict, maintaining alignment in times of change. How do we instill passion in our team members? How do we instill passion in our relationship? And so I saw an opportunity here to really help my clients create environments where passion, connection, and success thrives. So the impact that we've had to date, I've had the pleasure of 2 years working with couples and individuals on their communication, with them reporting reduced conflict, greater intimacy. I've had the pleasure of 30 plus live relational workshops. On the organizational front, I gave a talk recently at Industrious Co-working Hub, which was so exciting for me, all around navigating conflict in the workplace. And then continued brand awareness, spoke on a panel, a tech-aligned panel about maintaining alignment in times of change and bringing in the communication angle, as well as 2 private coaching communities and podcasts. The growth edges for the organization. So the bulk of the work has been one-on-one work, relational, and some on leadership presence and communication. My testimonials are more from coaches and entrepreneurs versus corporate organizations. And the speaking has been more virtual and done from cold outreach versus networking, connections. And it's a little funky because I have 2 separate one-pagers. So I work in corporate, so I can give talks on corporate, and talks that are more relational focused. Ideally, I want to bridge the two. So the long-term goals have a larger impact, group work over one-on-one, and of finding ways to get involved with large-scale events, summits, and conventions, as well as talks and workshops, both relational or corporate, or ideally bridging the two. So my ask is threefold, and I would love to have insight on all of these buckets. First being brand resonance. Sometimes I feel like I'm selling the bridge as to how personal impacts corporate and vice versa versus just speaking to the work. And so I'm curious how that bridge landed for you. My voice is a bit different on LinkedIn versus Instagram. Instagram's more relational. LinkedIn is more corporate content. I would also love ideas of other niches to pitch or work to. So for example, I met an actor at a networking event recently, and he said theater organizations and associations look for communication, intimacy, leadership coaches. So if anyone has interesting ideas of associations to partner with, as well as warm introductions, they always help. So virtual or in-person summit and event managers, whether it's for corporate events centered on leadership, communication, conflict, or relational events, think like Tony Robbins or something for, the Chamber of Commerce. Also Jives, that's more corporate. Or learning, HR and learning and development connections for corporate workshops, trainings on conflict, leadership, sales. Thank you so much, and I would love to connect with those of you who are not connected with.
I love it. I have such a loud voice. It's nice to hear this soft but powerful voice next to me. It's such a contrast. This is perfect. I was going to say, let's keep this on the screen. Take a second to take it in, and then let's really have a dialogue around these three. Any thoughts that jumped out at people right out of the gate?
Just a comment that came up, mixing what I would say leadership and empathy really reminds me of Brene Brown's work. And so, I saw her speak at South by Southwest one year. She was the keynote speaker. So, I don't know, cold outreach to Brene and be like, let's get on a podcast together. I don't know how realistic that is, but it's an idea.
Having those people on a podcast. I like that. Yes, thank you.
When it comes to businesses, this is such a... Oh, John, you go ahead. I'm always talking.
Yeah, so I love the harmony versus what I heard you say also was healthy conflict, right? Those two things actually work together very well. Do you think that this is something where you think about companies that are investing in talent and how this really helps young leaders start to bridge those gaps and says, how do you create the right level of harmony, the right level of conflict management, and much more of an introduction and moving through what it really takes to be a successful and inspiring leader that also translates over into personal life.
Yes, I love that. I think my challenge is I sometimes don't know how to introduce myself, and maybe it shifts from audience to audience, given a lot of my work has been in the personal realms, looking to break more into the corporate realms. And so, but yes, those skills, that's what it is. It's leadership, it's emotional intelligence, it's communication, it's attunement to people and energetics, and knowing how to shift from moment to moment, person to person with our communication.
I guess in the question there was, does that really become a bit of a wedge for you to really start to say, is how do you help young professionals maybe get a leg up and start bringing this to bear to companies and translate it to better results and better leadership? Or you see it broader in terms of who your target market really is? There's a lot there, right?
Yeah. The last thing I'll say, and then we'll move to see if this sparks any ideas from you or anyone, is like Esther Perel. She's a mentor of mine. She started in the relational space. She works with couples. She's a couples therapist. Yet she also bridges to the workplace, because why? Our relationships are our relationships in all of life. Communication spans the personal and the work. So I see the bridge, but I don't know if maybe to niche myself, I need to start with one or the other.
questions, and then the example, and then so you say, I do this, and that looks like working with like people being better leaders in the workplace, or helping you have a healthier relationship with your spouse. Like you can sort of frame it a little bit differently as like, this is the value I provide, and here are a couple of places where, so you can think about how it applies to your own life.
I love that, Kayla. Yes, like how we can plug in these different ways. Thank you. Yes.
So I think that the bridge is actually a brand differentiator, because there's so many people who are doing one or the other.
Mhm.
And you really need to sell the entire package. It's like saying that, relationships exist everywhere. And this is how performance in this area affects this other area, and really look at that from a very holistic standpoint. Rather than, trying to niche in one area or the other, especially if you don't want to get stuck in one area or the other. The longer you stay there, the longer people associate you with that. In terms of warm introductions, I have a connection who worked on the Mel Robbins show, and I'd be happy to introduce you to her if that's what it is.
Thank you, Crystal. I so appreciate that.
One of the things that's kind of interesting, so within an organization, just thinking of this corporate side, there are a lot of departments that kind of get paired up, like finance and accounting. Even on this slide, it's HR and learning development, be risk and compliance. There are people out on LinkedIn. Sometimes it's hard to get to the client. Even if you have your messaging, you've got your persona, it's hard to reach them. But we're all at different stages of our individual journeys. And there are other people out there selling something adjacent to what you're selling, but to the same audience. And one of the ways that I've found success personally is just grinding it out on LinkedIn and creating connections with other people who are selling, not the people who are buying. And when you get to other people, like I talk to accountants all day long because that's just so much fun. Any accountants in the room? It's like, yeah, of course not, right? Because it's like, this is such a social event. Oh, that's so mean and true. But seriously, so I have these conversations and I talk to them and it's like, well, how, some of it's just personal, like how's the grind? How's it going knocking on door to door? But when you talk to these people, different people are different stages of the relationships that they're building. And when you continue to have these conversations and make them part of your workflows, which you get from time to time, are these very opportunistic, who you should be talking to? Who I could introduce you to? And then you're probably happy to create something for them as well, because we're all kind of in it together. So for you, Daniel, and for you, try to find not just people you want to talk to, but other people who might have your audience's attention. Because most of us are pretty much, if you feel like you're not going to be sold to, most of us are kind of willing to entertain a conversation with somebody who's like, here's where I am, cards on the table. And maybe you guys partner up and you go in together, or you get an intro, or you get a conversation. All you got to do is like start that momentum, because one conversation turns into another, which turns into another, and so on. And so one of my feedbacks for the audience and for you two individually is, who else is going after the same people? And are they making any more progress than you? And could you guys somehow band together or get some introductions, etc.? Yeah.
One thing for you, so I like the targeted pitch per audience, right? So if you're on LinkedIn, who's there? If you're on Instagram, who's there? I think your split is right. You want to get ahead of kind of these corporate teams, right? So you can have these group settings of the corporate payout as well. Keeping in mind, Q4 is when people's learning and development funds are kind of use it or lose it. So you could reach out to businesses, startups, and kind of pitch this for corporate communication, leadership, for your younger folks to be able to communicate with their managers more, kind of think about those very specific pitches and get ahead of them before the end of the year. Yeah. And then that's at least a connection. And then you can keep going, follow up with them again next year.
Yeah, that was so helpful, Martina and Stuart. And I will also just reiterate, if anyone has any connections in that space, because I gave that talk at Industrious, it was amazing. And I'm still now trying to use that to help fuel more so that I can pick up steam.
Yeah, talk to folks, get their playbooks too. I mean, people will be like, look, here's what I'm doing, especially when they feel like you're not competing.
Yes.
All right, that's, I think that one final, go ahead.
So quick. Crystal mentioned, if your brand is like being the bridge, also when Martina was talking, if you're the bridge, so it's not just for young leaders, like you can be the bridge in the company between like different generations. I know last week or the week before where we talked a lot about intergenerational communication styles in the workplace, and so you can, if your brand is being the bridge, like what can you be the bridge between? So don't limit yourself too much.
Amazing.
This is great. Thank you so much.
Guys, let's hear for Nicola. Thank you so much. You say for everything. When you present, you get some swag. In this case, we're out of tumblers, but we do have like kind of a high-end mug here. So we're up in our game, our coffee game. We've got a notepad for you, a notepad for you, and a coffee mug for you, and a coffee mug for you. We're going to take a few pictures. I invite you guys to get up, have some coffee, stay in co-work, stay in chat. If you wouldn't mind folding a chair and putting it against the wall.